This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded December 21st, 2010. Episode 22, The Hard Work Hypothesis.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble from Chris Gamble's Analog Life.
How you doing, Chris?
Good, Dave. Happy almost holidays, right?
Almost, yes.
Well,
happy holidays.
You celebrate Hanukkah, which is, already passed. So,
but yeah, we're getting very close. What is it? What's the date today? The 22nd. Jeez. Well, it is here. Yeah. It's the 21st over there, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so that's too bad because it's our 22nd episode. That would have worked out well.
It is the 22nd episode. It's the 22nd here. So there you go.
Yeah.
It lines up. It means absolutely jack all. So did you see the moon last night?
No, I saw all the about it, and I talked to some people who wanted to, and then I looked at the forecast, and it was overcast the whole time. So,
it was crap.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if it's any consolation, I didn't see it either.
I wasn't sure.
Well,
if
not
you
that
guys
we were
saw
going to
it.
see anything here, but. Up in Queensland, I think they had a view of it, but it wasn't dark enough here yet. The sun hadn't set or something by the time, so you would see. Yeah, I don't know. It was very little or something.
That's pretty cool, though.
Anyway, I've seen one before, so yeah, it's not a big loss.
Yeah, it's nice with those too because you can look at it without those stupid little viewer thingies. You know what I mean? The pinhole.
Yeah, with the viewer things,
viewers.
and you can with the sun filter, so you can view it with the naked eye, and it was red, apparently. Yeah. So I haven't actually seen any photos of it yet. Photos people have taken of it, but
I don't know.
Yeah, well, because if you don't know, it was going to be red because of all of our pollution these days. It was going to cast a red tint. The moon was going to turn red, apparently. So
that must have been creepy.
I don't know if it actually happened. I'm sure if you actually took a photo of it, post it and show us your photo.
Great. Yeah, I saw there was a couple of links to Wired. I just didn't click over yet. So yeah,
right. Not to worry. Yeah. What do we got on today's show?
Well, we got a shout out. So we got one. All right. Yeah.
Awesome.
So this one is actually Jeri Ellsworth was the one who mentioned it, but the amateurlogic.com, it's a video podcast, so nipping at Dave's heels. Definitely a lot less often. I think it's like every, a couple times, maybe every month or two they post one. But it's pretty cool. It was like a ham kind of podcast like Solder Smoke was. But we always like seeing more of them, so
cool. Keep it up, guys.
We hope to see more. I mean, that was what Jeri was talking about. Was hoping to see more of them. Clicked over, got to watch a couple. So pretty cool.
Right. Well, I was I'm not fearful of any competition that.
And you have a new video too. I saw that, and I think we were supposed to talk about that today.
Oh, well,
I think so.
Which ones are? That's the dodgy
components.
Because we were going to talk. It was on the list last week. Yeah. Dodgy components. Yeah. That's right. We should get onto that. But before I get, I guess we should segue into that. But before we do that, I just looked at Afrotechmods video YouTube channel. He's got a blog out there, and he does really good electronics tutorials. Yeah. And he stole my idea.
Oh, no.
One of his latest videos. Oh, yeah. He stole it. Anyway, it's to do with super caps. He's using those big super caps to do some damage, charges them up and
to explode components.
Blows up a few things. Yeah, exploding components and tracks on PCBs and coins and stuff like that.
Yeah, I saw that.
That wasn't quite my idea. Well, kind of was, but my idea was that to actually show how much energy is in a typical AAA battery. This came about because my friend Doug Ford, who's been on the show before, we were having lunch. God, it was probably 2 months ago now when we originally talked about this, and we got onto the topic of AAA batteries, as you do. And we were just, I was saying that how much energy is in a AAA battery is actually amazing. It's X number of kilojoules or something. I don't know the exact figure, but It's off the top of my head, but it's large, the amount of energy. And it's only because of the ESR, the high ESR of the battery, that you can't do any real damage with it. So I was thinking of actually demonstrating how much energy is actually in that battery by actually discharging the battery into a huge bank of capacitors and then blowing something up with just the energy that's in a AAA battery. So anyway, that was... and he kind of stole that idea.
I don't think it's stolen, Dave. He just did it first.
No, he's not stolen. No, he just pipped
He's
me
got
to
some
the
good
post,
some good
but,
stuff.
yeah.
I like his stuff. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, I just wanted to put it out there because I don't want people to think that I ripped off his idea if I actually go
Clearing
and do
the
that.
air,
because I've got, I've got evidence that we talked about it months ago.
Yeah, speaking of actually ripping you off, I saw your thing about NPR. That's crazy, man. Like, maybe you should explain that.
Yeah, the bastards. Yeah, the NPR, what is it? What's the acronym?
National Public Radio.
National
Which
Public
I love.
Radio.
I love them.
That's it.
Don't get me wrong.
Right. Yep, they sound pretty good. And they did an article on the Amazon Kindle. And and basically e-readers in general and stuff like that. And in the first minute or two of their I think it was only like a 5-minute segment or something on their show. And they basically they ripped my voice from my YouTube channel, my Kindle review and teardown. They ripped it and they just whacked it in the middle of the show as an example of, people in the industry talking about the Kindle, and people have done teardowns and all that sort of stuff.
Talking about the enthusiasm for it.
Which is great. Thanks for using me, but they didn't cite me at all.
No attribution.
They didn't give me a credit. No attribution
at all. I know,
that could
have been big. Did you write into them? Did you write to them?
I did. If you can actually follow it in the comments. I put comments on the blog. We'll link to it.
Yeah.
And and they replied back, I can't remember. It was some wank talk, typical. How we, due to it being a short segment and the brevity of it, we can't
waste
credit you
the
on
2
air
words
and stuff
we would
like
have
that.
used to explain who it was.
Right, yes, exactly. Here's Dave Jones. It takes literally less than 2 seconds.
Thumbs down to NPR this week.
Big thumbs down to NPR, National Public Radio in the US. And as soon as it happened, people were driving home apparently, and they were hearing my voice on the radio suddenly, on their car radio popping up, and they all emailed me, and I got a flood of people telling me that they heard me on NPR.
Next time, maybe. Next time.
So I replied back to them, and they haven't replied back because they're a bunch of pussies. So, there you go, NPR. Bad form, really. It's just, you could have at least given me credit on the blog or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
we have shout out. Should that be a shout down? I don't know.
That's a shout down. Yes. Yes. New segment here on the Amp Hour.
Impromptu, and yet well-deserved. So how about some workbenches? We've had some feedback that our workbenches stuff has gone on and on a little bit, but I think it's because we've been so excited about all the awesome pictures that have been sent in so far. Yeah,
I just love looking at people, sorry, I get rather excited
we all know that
Dave's
Dave's
workbenches.
His test equipment fetish is a bit excessive, but it is acceptable.
Not compared to some people. Come
that's
on.
True.
I live in Australia. I don't get access to all this cool surplus test gear like you guys in the US have. God.
Hey, man.
You could fit, I said it before, you could fit out $100,000 lab for $200.
You can, someone should come up with a business idea where they just, become the middleman out in California and buy stuff for you and then ship it to you at some premium from off eBay. For people that won't ship internationally.
Well, there's lots of companies that do that. There's lots of the vultures. Yeah, all these test equipment vultures. They buy the bulk lots at auction from some military surplus, thing, or some uni that's shutting down or something, and they flog all the gear on eBay for 100 times what they paid for it. So anyway, yes. But our first person is Frank.
Frank from Finland.
Frank's from Finland. He says it's cold there, minus 25 degrees C.
That is unreal.
Yeah, that's bloody cold. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but
that's minus 60 maybe?
Bloody cold. Yeah, something. It's insane.
I think that's the temperature where it starts, if you spit, it freezes before it hits the ground. I've only read about that. I've never experienced it, but that is unbelievable. So
Right. I think I actually see ice here on his bench. Well, maybe I'm mistaken, but I think he's got heaters inside. But
I'm pretty sure there's a penguin someone on his bench. It's weird.
Right, just waddles into shot. Yeah.
What's he got though?
Anyway, we won't.
He's got an X-Tech. Is that X-Tech there?
What, the multimeter? No, that's the famous Vichy VC99, which I smashed to bits in my 100th episode.
I don't do the handhelds, man. You know me.
Right. Nah, you're a bench reader, man. Yeah. I don't know. You old Luddite.
Yes, I'm so old-fashioned. Me with my accuracy. Yeah, it looks like a nice bench, though. It looks very well used. And
yes, it's like a typical mechanical workbench, which has sort of been commandeered into an electronics workbench because it has lots of like physical abuse to the surface of it, if you know what I mean. It's been banged around a lot, and he's got like a little homemade. Yeah, it's got a homemade power supply there on the right-hand side in a box with a couple of LED panel meter readouts, and he's got a Rigol, of course. Everyone seems to have a Rigol, and he's got a light that comes over the top, and he's got a little drawer thing with ohms, kilo ohms, and mega ohm resistors.
I like the project he said he's working on. So if people are just listening right now, you can't see it obviously, but it's he said it's a new power supply, and the thing that I like about it, I can't see who actually makes it. Looks like Norate or something like that, but it's this monstrous toroidal transformer, and if you don't know what that is, it's basically like a donut, a ferrite donut wrapped with wire, to step up or step down voltages. In this case, probably step up. And that thing is a monster. I love it. I love transformers like that. That thing's awesome. So.
Yep. So, that looks like it's coming along. So, good luck with that one. And thanks for sending your photo. He's not in the photo, of course, which is a bit disappointing.
No shout down on that one, but No,
not at all. Not at all. And of course he's got the resistor color code on the wall as well.
Yeah, so we'll post links to that picture of his bench for Workbench of the Week. And one more. We have Nathan Bowers as well.
Yes, Nathan, thank you very much. And he's in the shot. There we go. His first photo is a bit blurry, but his second one, there he is in the shot. Managing to crack a bit of a smile there. Come on.
Almost. He's almost got it.
It looks like it's in his garage. There's the roller door, I believe. I don't know. What do you guys call those in the US? Is it a roller door?
I call it a garage door, Dave.
A garage door. Well, okay. Well, they call it a roller door here because they actually roll. Well, this one doesn't roll up. It looks like it opens and comes out flat, but our ones here actually roll up.
Oh.
So.
Yeah.
They're called. Actually, it's a brand name. Roller door is a trademark here. Okay. So that's what we call them anyway.
And Nathan is actually linked to us before. He had the Amp Hour logo on his homepage. His was a sober newt, if you remember that.
That's right. I thought I recognized the name from somewhere.
So funky name site, but he works on guitar pedals, so that's pretty cool. I like it.
Yep. And as I think he mentioned in his comment when he posted it, you don't need much gear to work on these actual pedals. So, and it's true. You don't need a big lab setup with
a lot of stuff, really,
$100,000 worth of gear to do something useful. Yeah. So, you can have your, pair of side cutters and a multimeter and a soldering iron and a oscilloscope and,
maybe
build
maybe
anything,
a power
really.
source, that helps too, but...
a power supply.
But you can always do wall warts if you really need to, if you're just doing little stuff. So...
of course.
Yeah, I like it.
Or batteries or anything.
That is the minimalist award for that one. That's good, though. That's... lean and...
I wouldn't say minimalist. He's got parts cabinets and stuff there.
I know, but just from what I described
I think once you graduate to parts cabinets, I think you're getting a bit serious.
Like Mike. Oh, my God. That picture. I'm still thinking of that picture from last week. If people haven't gone to see it yet, you should click on episode 21. That is a ridiculous panoramic view of Mike from... was it mikeselectronics.co.uk?
Yep.
My God. I'm surprised more people didn't link to that picture. I thought Make or Hackaday or someone was going to do
viral,
that. But maybe you'll see it next time.
Right.
Whew. That's a crazy picture.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
Yes. So, you certainly don't need much. And the minimalist, you mentioned the minimalist approach. I think that is like one of those starter kits you buy from Adafruit or something like, you can buy a starter kit and it's got like a $10 multimeter and it's got a pair of side cutters and it's got a little spool of solder and you know, and that's basically it. So, and a couple of clip leads or something. That's a minimalist.
I guess, yeah,
startup.
that would be minimalist. But, whatever works is, whatever gets the job done. Like crowbars sometimes,
Absolutely.
It happens. It happens sometimes. Whatever works. So I think that's all of our workbenches.
Workplace of the week. Yes, we won't spend too much more time on that because I think we spent about 25 minutes last week.
Oops. But we love the people send stuff in. That's so great. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much. So we mentioned at the start of the show, which we should probably get into before we forget, which is the dodgy components. Which we were going to get to. Which we didn't talk about last week, but now I have actually posted both of my videos on my dodgy components. The first one was dodgy components from DigiKey, and the second one was dodgy components from Maxim.
I didn't see the DigiKey one. I saw the Maxim one.
Oh, you didn't see the DigiKey one?
I must have missed that. I saw your feed was down. Maybe that's why.
Oh, yeah. Right. Okay. Yes, I've had a lot of problems with my feed. I think I finally figured out it's the WordPress...
Yeah.
Cache.
Yeah.
The
super
cache thing that I use. And that, super cache. And that was apparent. If I turn that on, my feed dies. If I turn it off, the feed comes back. So, I don't know. I've got to jump on the forums and figure out what's going on there. And anyway, so I've got no cache at the moment. So maybe if I get, if I get on Slashdot or something like that, I'm in deep shit. But
I don't mean to laugh at you like that. I laugh at that thinking about my own. I'm like, man, I don't think that's ever going to happen. So... I don't know. I still don't get the Slashdot. I don't understand that people still read that, but whatever. To each their own.
I don't either. Yeah. I don't know.
I still read EE Times, and a lot of people don't read that. So
No, I don't read. I get a weekly email from them, but mostly I hit delete unless there's something in the title that interests me. So yeah.
So let's hear about these dodgy components.
Isn't anything more than a curse? Dodgy components. Yes, the DigiKey one for my microcurrent project, which I kitted up for again. Yeah. They're almost sold out again, by the way. I think there's only 1 or 2 left in stock. And anyway, these use 0.1% resistors in them, right? They're precision resistors, 0.1% tolerance, low ppm, 25 ppm or less. And you rely on the fact that those resistors are 0.1%. It's not like you get them and then you measure each one to make sure they're in spec.
Well, and how would you, every resistor, you'd have to step the temperature and then, that would be a mess.
I know, it's just stupid. Anyway, so I did my usual thing and I've manufactured these microcurrents heaps of times before and they've always been spot on. No unit has ever failed, so so you build up confidence in your supply chain and your build process and all that sort of stuff that it's going to work. So you don't think twice about it. You get your parts, you order them from DigiKey. I didn't get them from, I didn't buy them off eBay or something like that. So you get them from from a source. They're actually made by Burns, who are a top quality, manufacturer.
Yeah.
And buy from DigiKey, so they're genuine. I ship them off to my assembler, assembler sends them back, and I test one unit, and it's okay. That's what I do. I fully tested one unit, and it was fine, and then I tested a bunch of others, and then I only spot checked them, and just to make sure that they were functional, because I knew that they were going to be in spec, because they're 0.1% resistors. Well,
they better be. Yeah.
Right? Well, yeah, they'd better be. And it turns out, fail. They weren't, and I'd already shipped out a dozen or more units or something, and I think 15 or 18 units, and then I sort of noticed, I was testing the next batch, and I sort of noticed that it wasn't quite meeting the tolerance on one of the ranges. So I looked into it, and sure enough, the resistor isn't 0.1%, it's a couple of percent. And, I've been had. I got dodgy components from DigiKey or from Burns. Turns out it wasn't from DigiKey as such, I don't think. They're still investigating, but it looks like it may have come from Burns. But anyway, they're still investigating.
The question I had for you for both, I didn't know there was a second one, but you had a Maxim video too, and you said they responded. So my question for you is, how are they responding to being called out? Because that's what I'm really curious about, because you think about big semiconductor companies who don't even respond to some of their, $100,000 customers or even $1 million customers. How do they respond when it's more public?
I think you'll find they do.
Well, yeah, they well, not always though. I mean, that's the thing. They do, but not always to the degree that the users want, right? So selling $100,000 worth of someone's chips a year, right, in your product. And yes, they're probably responding to you on the really big stuff, like, hey, all of these parts are broken, but it's like, hey, these parts are, moving, even though the spec's wide, it's moving around within the spec. They're not necessarily going to respond to you about that stuff. So what my question is how do they respond when it's more public like this? Because before, if it's just you going to Maxim and saying, oh, well, your parts are crap, and they come back and they say, well, sorry, we did this a little bit wrong, here's another. Now what you're doing is you're saying it very publicly on a video, or even like Twitter or something like that, which a lot of semiconductor companies don't have as much experience with. How did they respond? Was it faster than you expected or slower?
Oh, yes. It basically was. It's much faster than I expected, and they're much more apologetic, and they're much more forthcoming, and I typically get responses higher up in the food chain than you'd normally get. Normally you get some applications engineer or something just contact you, or some lowly person, oh yeah, sorry, we'll refund your money, and that's it. But yeah, I actually get in the case of the DigiKey one, I got someone high up email me, and they wanted me to send my microcurrent unit back to them to Burns. I don't know why.
We just want one.
The hell they want that. we just want one. But yeah, they want to do a thorough investigation and analysis and all sorts of things. And yeah, I don't think that would have happened if I just complained and, as a regular, I'm using the quote marks, customer, which isn't highly visible, which isn't visible outside which isn't publicly visible. Right, and they really do respond.
Yeah, the question I would have is there some kind of like competitive advantage to opening up your, not necessarily, because you don't want to like seem like, like if you always did this kind of thing, right, eventually people would stop doing business with you probably, because they say, I can't afford that kind of visibility. But now say 10 people did this, right? So, and one of your, and your Maxim stuff was for work, right? Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, there is a competitive advantage to doing that kind of thing, because there is better, not necessarily from a relationship standpoint, because, this and I know this from on the professional side of things, like relationships between companies really matters, because you need to be able to, talk to the quality person at a component engineering or a component manufacturer, right? You need to be able to call them directly. That's a big deal. Whereas, so if you ruin that relationship, then that's something else. But maybe this is a competitive advantage for, opening up your problems and explaining them on the internet and getting better responses. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think it comes down to they won't voluntarily do that. They will, if something goes public, they will typically respond to it because they know that they have to, because everyone's watching. But are you talking about them being more transparent?
Oh, no. I'm saying that you as a part user and me as a part user, right? Say we're both using a Maxim part, right? And you're pissed and you do a video, and I'm pissed and I do a video. And then maybe, 10 more people have a problem and they do videos, right? Does that 12 group of 12 people doing their own videos and getting this pretty good response, being the squeaky wheel, is that an actual advantage? So might we see, companies doing this kind of thing? You were doing it for your personal project, right? And
is it an advantage to them or to the person?
To the user.
To the user. Oh, it certainly is. And it's always going to be, there's only going to be a certain number of people who are going to go to the effort to do a video and, publicly
and
out
really
an
bitch
actual
about it.
Problem. There's a very limited number of people who are, who would bother to actually do that. Most people would go, just forget about it and just refund my parts, please. And nobody ever hears about it. They might rant a couple of years down the track in some forum post somewhere, but that's about the extent you'd actually hear of it. So, it's a huge advantage. I found almost every time that I've ranted about something, the company has come good very quickly, admitted the problem, and they've fixed it. I can't think of one case where they've told me to shut the hell up or it's ruined a relationship. In fact, it's built the relationship, typically.
Wow.
And even when you remember the X-Tech meter that actually blew up in my hand.
Remember that.
Right? That was a shocking, I went and did a video about that. And to most companies, that would be the most horrific thing anyone could do to you is to release a video showing how this product blew up in their hand, you know? I mean, that is a public relations nightmare, right? But they took it on board and worked with me, and they're redesigning the product straight away and investigated. They even offered to fly out here. So, you know, it's huge. And that didn't ruin the relationship. I was actually a bit concerned about that because I had a good relationship with X-Tech, and I still do, at the time that happened. And I thought, oh, you know, am I going, you know, if I do this video, they might never talk to me again, you know. So I've ruled out being able to review any X-Tech products in the future and all that sort of stuff. But no, and if anything, I think it's built the relationship rather than harmed it.
So the lesson is anyway, possibly, you know, if people out there are working with products and having issues, instead of just grumbling and, you know, going on forums kind of thing, but make it open, you know, go on YouTube, go on, you know, make your own podcast, make your own blog and talk about this stuff. And I mean, it's a little bit different because I think, Dave, you have a little bit more visibility than
I've got much more visibility, which makes a big difference.
At the same time, I mean, that kind of thing, that still happens, you know what I mean? So, you know, I think I don't know, it just struck me as something that could be a competitive advantage. Like if you were a business, you know, like if Dave Jones selling microcurrents became a business, right? Or, you know, full-time business, then that is a definite competitive advantage. So that's all I wanted to say about that.
Well, any time you give good service and good response, people are going to be impressed and they're going to spread the word.
Right.
You know, whereas if you do something shit, it's, you know, it's going to go in the opposite direction. You're going to get a bad rep. So,
and that's what,
you know, they really can't do anything but respond in a positive note, really, because it's too visible.
Is that what happened with that programmer too? Didn't you have that programmer problem? Did they talk to you about that or no?
The microchip programmer. Oh, that was huge. I mean, that's one of their highest rated videos on YouTube there when they did a video response to my video.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That made them out to be, and the CEO called me personally and talked to me for half an hour. You know, I mean, that was such a massive response. It almost went viral, that response. You know, it was so positive in the community. Everyone go, wow, look how responsive microchip are. And they got massive mileage out of that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
And they know it. So the interesting point about exposing this sort of stuff on my blog, I had quite a few people comment that I shouldn't have done it, right? I should have talked to the company first, got all the facts, and then waited until it was all resolved and then talked about it. Well, you know, my opinion is that no, I shoot from the hip first and then I tell the story as it happens and then I let the company respond. And that's how I think it should work. Because if I didn't publicly put comments out there and put video out there, then these companies may not have responded at all. They may have, just sent me new parts or something, and that's it. And they don't investigate and they just sweep it under the carpet, right? But doing a video up front puts a bit of fire up
Dave,
their butt.
Are you trying to be the Julian Assange of electronics world?
I'm trying to be the Julian Assange of electronics, yes. You caught me out.
Jealous of the other Aussie.
If you see a problem, you know, and you've got a public audience like I do, you speak up about it. And, you know, I mean,
that's funny.
It's not a blanket rule, but geez, I didn't see any problem with telling the story of how I got dodgy parts from DigiKey. You know, I mean, even if it wasn't DigiKey's fault, they can respond and they can say it wasn't their fault, and that's fine. And I'll happily publicly admit that, you know, that it wasn't their fault and they're great and they fixed it and et cetera, et cetera. So.
You know, I saw another side of that, so more of the prevention side. So talking about those programmers, the programming cables and stuff like that. So you ever read Annie Posto hardware blog? Do you know who that is?
I've seen it occasionally, but I'm not a regular.
It's Matt Stack, and he's from, I think it's Stack. He's from Liquidware though, so they make a lot of the Beagle board and Beagle Touch. You know, they did that graphing calculator with the on the Beagle board.
Oh, yes, yes.
So they make really good stuff, and they actually sell kits that are very, very nice, actually, using the Beagle board. So anyways, he had a post today, I think, and he was talking about innovation in the open source hardware community. And it was really interesting reading about it because he's talking about we're kind of moving into a new age of open source hardware, and basically that we're kind of getting to the cost-cutting mass production side of things. And that he hates it because he thinks that we're going to see more and more of the, the crappy programming cables like you talked about, and just like the underdeveloped dev boards because no one cares. They turn them once and then they throw them away. And so I wanted to read a quote from it. He said, "I don't accept the end of open source hardware innovation as the 99-cent Whopper development board. If the whole vision of open source hardware just turns out to have created another excuse for a bunch of lousy, Windows-only dev boards with proprietary tool chains, horrible tech support hotlines, and mysterious libraries that have no documentation, I will be very sad." And he's basically talking about, it can't stop here. Just because the Arduino's a regular platform now and people are trying to cut costs and do mass production and stuff, it doesn't mean that you should just, buy the cheapest shield out there. You should go out and make your own shield, even if it's similar.
Oh, heck, you shouldn't even be using the Arduino.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, if it comes down, because the Arduino is an expensive, high-level platform.
Right.
It's great for the beginner, but if you want to go out and, if you're making a quadcopter or something and you want the minimum possible weight, in your design, size and weight to fit on there, you don't use a bloody Arduino. Right. You go out and lay your own board and use... and do the minimal amount of circuitry required to actually get the job done. You do fully custom. Yeah. So that's...
Anyways, his article was just like spot on. Everyone should go read it. It's a really, really... He's a really great writer. Excuse me. He's a really great writer. And this is just about, how open source hardware, it was kind of at a stalling point, and then it picked back up with the Arduino a couple years ago. And now... but he fears it as like, we're going to see more of these crappy cables and crappy support from vendors, and how everybody should be opening their stuff up. Go out and make your own stuff, but then go open it up too, because that's just as important.
Does he give any reason why that he thinks that they might be crap? Is he talking about companies like, TI or something, whoever, I won't name them, but companies that actually are jumping on the open source hardware bandwagon and they're releasing these products, and is he implying that they're not releasing a fully finished product like they normally would? They sort of toss it out there. Oh, open source, the community will take care of it and finish it off for us.
He did mention that there's more
sort of stuff.
There's more corporate involvement and stuff like that. I mean, and that's kind of a reality. We're seeing that more and more. But
well, of course. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the corporations have the money and the resources to do really good open source hardware products. So I don't have a problem with them doing it as long as they open it and it's a good product. And, I don't know. I think they can do really good things.
No, I don't think that's bad.
So can the individual, but...
Right. I think his thing is more... well, I don't know. Maybe he can talk about it sometime. But basically, the best thing, if it's just one and done kind of thing for a dev board, and it's just left there, and it's kind of face value open source, right? This is open. Here's our files, and then it's left to dead. That's no good.
Yeah.
So.
Right, and he's got a photo of George W. Bush with the mission accomplished banner across it in the article. I think that's brilliant. But, but the thing with open source hardware, right, is that, like it or not, the most popular open source platforms are done by aren't done by one guy in his garage. They're done by large... Well, it's getting towards larger companies like TI and the Beagle board and all that sort of thing. Even the Arduino, right? If you think the Arduino is one guy in his garage, it's not. It's freaking, they're a $5 million a year company or something. Yeah. They're getting very large. If you think, Adafruit are small, you think she ships stuff out of a bedroom. No, they're a $1 million a year company, and they're getting bigger. You think SparkFun are,
right. Yeah, they're 12,
small. No, they're a $10 million company,
Yeah.
And it needs these companies with the resources and the money and the full-time and people who are working on it full-time to produce and actually supply to the market these open source hardware products. Yeah. Do you think the Arduino would be as popular as it is if nobody was selling a kit if you couldn't buy the finished product.
Oh, hell no.
You know?
No,
No, of course not. No, if somebody just put the design out there on the web, oh, here's the Arduino and here's the circuit, and go and etch your own PCB, and no, it wouldn't have caught on at all.
You need buy-in from a lot of people, right? And then code base is just as important, right? Yep. Same with the like do-it-yourself drones, right? I mean, there's 12,000 people on that site. They're cranking out code all the time and always helping each other out.
Yep.
And kind of centering around different platforms. They have an Arducopter, or however you say it, and they have other boards, microprocessor based boards that are doing different, same function but different boards basically in there, and it's all because of the code base and the people gathered around it that really gives it the power. So.
Yeah, but I've mentioned this before. I think that. Ultimately, 90. It's probably the 90/9/1% rule again. In that 90+% of people who use open source, who make open source products, open source hardware products popular, use the finished product. Yeah. They don't go around and muck around with the source code or design their own
libraries and all of that
they
stuff,
just want to buy they just buy the finished product. That's why it's popular.
Right, application side.
I'd go as far to say as 99% of Arduinos are used by people who just buy the finished product and hook stuff up to it. And of course that's the goal of it, is to be, so you've got to have that finished product in place, available, supported at a good price, you know. And for it to be popular. So open source hardware is more than just the success of open source hardware is more than just publishing stuff out there and making it open. Yeah. Somebody has to actually produce it.
Right.
So as opposed to source code, which is but it's a similar sort of concept with source code. How many people use Linux? How many people compile their own kernel for Linux?
Right, not me.
Right?
No.
Not many, right? Not many. They want the professional Red Hat distribution, right?
They want the support,
Fedora,
they want everything
whatever
else,
it's called, Ubuntu or something like that. They want the fully supported, finished, polished product. They don't want to dick around with some half-assed product. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Whoa.
Is that enough open source?
Yeah, I think that gets our usual quota in there.
Right.
Well, speaking about it...
Well, actually, I think we've got some other stuff on the list, but maybe we shouldn't touch it.
Oh, do we really?
Oh, I don't know, possibly.
Okay. Well, speaking of open... so, like, communities and stuff like that, right? So there's two new things that I saw that I wasn't sure... I don't know how much coverage they had, but two things that are happening, at least in the U.S. One thing is they're opening up low power FM. So all those hams out there might be kind of excited about this. But basically beforehand, all you could do, the only way you could get an FM station, you could transmit in your car using a little iPod adapter and whatever and transmit to your radio locally. But now you can get a low power transmit tower and you can run your own radio station basically. You have to get a permit still from the FCC in the US.
Right.
But basically they're opening up the entire FM band to people instead of corporations.
Interesting. Well, I presume that it's only unused channels on the FM band. Yeah. I presume you can't go and just pump out 10 watts on the same channel as some other station.
Well, you can, but you'll get in trouble for that. No, because this has to be sanctioned and you have to have a license. But basically, you couldn't get a license before, and now you can. So... Right.
And, is it expensive or is it pretty trivial
I didn't see anything about the cost,
thing to get
but
a license?
I think it's going to be more accessible, basically. But I was thinking about it from from a community standpoint. Like maybe if you had a critical mass of like hackers or makers in a city, right? You could have you could have in San Francisco, right? Well, I don't know how open the band is there, but say you managed to get one, for a band there, and you could start your own radio station about making stuff, Might be easier to do in Kansas because there's more airspace there, but
right.
I don't know. I thought that was cool, and I think there's a market for, like right now, a lot of the radio stations are all owned by the same people, but they're opening that up here. So I think there's a opportunity to kind of community source the new radio stations.
Awesome. Sounds fantastic. We can take the amp hour live on the FM
24/7.
24/7, just rehashing
Well,
it.
no, I'm just saying,
in a loop,
like our schedules are so off. We only have like an hour crossover that works, right? So I'll record 12 hours and you record 12 hours. We'll hand the baton off about 4 p.m. 4 p.m. and 4 a.m. here. So whatever that is there.
Sounds good. No, well, that's a big step forward because these licenses used to cost millions. I think it was $10 million to buy an FM license here in Australia or something. It was huge money.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So this is only a US thing, obviously.
Well,
so I haven't heard anything about that
I feel like my news sources are all very US-centric. I mean, it's not just me being, like geocentric here, but...
Right, I try and avoid US news sources because they're somewhat censored.
Yeah, don't get me started.
But let's not go there.
And then the other one, though, is Google. So, apparently in Japan, I talked to my friend who visits Japan a lot, and he said it's been around for years now, near-field communications, where basically your phone can, beam, RF energy to a reader, and then it will do like a card transaction for a credit card, as opposed to swiping a magnetic card. I mean, how 95 is that, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
So they're pushing that though, and then it's an open standard too. So that's like another venue for things that people can hack. Hopefully, I don't know if they're going to open that up on the phone side, but I think that.
Well, they need to be encrypted for transfer of actually money information, to transfer of financial information and stuff like that. So I presume that is almost unhackable. If it was hackable, the industry would. I
don't know. I would think that'd be software side.
Would be very frightened.
Wouldn't you encrypt it in software though? That's what I would do if I was sending a credit card number.
Yes, you would. It'd likely be. Yeah, on the software side of things.
I'd make
it ultimately is.
Right.
So,
I would make a stupid transmitter, not stupid, but, a non-encrypted transmitter, and then I would have a software side of things that would do all the SSL, AES, blah, 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 encryption. And then, but that would be great because now, if this is going to be in every phone now maybe we can have, you have little RF transmitters on every phone. Well, you always had an RF transmitter, but now you have a open RF transmitter. That could be pretty cool. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome. You could do all sorts of stuff with that, I'm sure. But it's another step above RFID readers and stuff like that. The RFID industry, which has been around for a long time, and everyone's talking about it now. You can get chipsets from some of the major manufacturers, which have you can get microcontrollers with built-in near-field RF interfaces and things like that. I believe. I've seen them. I can't remember who it was, either Microchip or somebody else. I don't know. TI.
Huh. I haven't seen those at all.
Yeah, that's so. Yeah, expect to see and hear much more about that. Near field communications might be the new buzzword for the the tens. What is this decade?
It's not the aughts. Last one's was the aughts. The teens, I guess, would be right.
The noughties or the naughties. They used to. Well, that's what we called it here. Yeah.
Nice.
We called it the noughties here, but I don't know. What is it? What is the name of this decade?
I would probably call it the teens.
The teens?
Yeah, I mean, 2013, 14. I mean, once you get past 11, 12.
Yep, right.
19, 18, yeah.
We'll see. I'm sure somebody will. I'm sure we'll all agree on some consensus for naming of the decade. I don't know if you got any good ideas. Leave comments.
Yeah, we'll set that up here. Yeah.
Right.
Just mail in your submissions now, folks, and we'll be sure to get that to the whoever makes these decisions.
Well, the Amp Hour makes these decisions. Obviously, we're
because
vital global importance.
Right. Well, now we'll have our own FM radio station, at least in the U.S. in Kansas. So.
In Kansas. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
So how about these execs? Have you seen this stuff? Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
I read a little bit about it. Well, what's news there?
Yeah, right.
Do tell. Let's see if people are surprised. Let's see how shocked people are.
I mean, basically, for people who haven't heard about it, you get these executives who are consulting. They're going out. They're executives at ABC Semiconductor, right? And ABC Semiconductor is about to announce that their $40 million deal is going through with XYZ semiconductor. And oh, by the way, your executive there has also been consulting on the side about ABC Semiconductor. How is that possible? I mean, like, so I mean, we don't see these stories in the semiconductor and like electronics industries nearly as much as the banking industries, but it is still like, really? This is, how did they?
They get away with it because they're so brazen about it. They have such an, they surround themselves with such an awe of how legitimate it all is, because I should be, democracy, freedom. I should be allowed to.
I'm an expert in my field. I'm needed.
I'm an expert in my field. I should consult to many different companies. I do this on a regular basis. And, and yes, I'm the member of 5 different boards for often competing companies. And it's just normal. They build up, they're so arrogant about it, I think. And I don't know, they seem to get away with it an awful lot. But in this case, somebody's caught up with it. We're going to see
a bunch of bankers influxing into the into the electronics industry. Hey, look, they get away with it. Well, I guess bankers do too.
I don't know. I think it's the same in any industry. They just get away with it because that's the way it is. They're almost untouchable.
Yeah, I wonder about that sometimes. Like right now, I'm an engineer. Dave, you're an engineer. I think about that. Like that. For some people who started as engineers, that is their eventual career goal. They want to be making the big shots. They want to be making the big bucks, calling the big shots, right? And that's just got to be such a different world. I sound really green saying that kind of thing, but like. Really, like millions of dollars salaries, and how do you decide to build a $5 billion fab, right? Like, it was like, oh well, yeah, of course we're gonna do that.
I'm sure it works on whims, just like it does at the engineering level, right? They just sit around and have a couple of drinks, and okay, done deal. Yeah, where they, they'll, $1 billion will suddenly just appear out of nowhere, and a fab gets built.
That's really interesting across cultures too. I was listening to a story about China and doing business in the U.S. and how and I've noticed this with like Asian companies I've worked with in the past. Decisions aren't made in meetings necessarily. They're made like over dinner or over drinks, and it's kind of a weird idea. That would happen. Like, I can't imagine that, like I was saying before, like if I ever became an executive, right? I can't imagine like going out for a beer and then being like, yeah, let's do this. I'm in the right state of mind right now. I've had a few. Let's go ahead and do this $5 billion fab. But that's how it happens sometimes, and that's the new reality, I guess.
I think it does. Yeah, you get some idealistic vision that they all sit around in a meeting with a huge whiteboard and they brainstorm everything, and they get all the experts and they get all the input from everyone, and they get buy-in, as they call it, from everyone, and they come to a global, a consensus that everyone agrees on that it's a good idea, and then they do reports and investigate it for months and months.
No, none of that happens.
Cost-benefit analysis. I don't know. Some of that happens, but I think there's alcohol involved.
That would make a lot of sense, I got to say.
I don't know. Maybe we're just, I don't know. Are we just so dumb about what happens at the corporate level? Are we so, blinded by what happens up there? I don't know. Are you the CEO of a company? Are you listening?
They're not
Tell
listening.
us what you're.
No, they're not. They're not listening. And if they are, they don't want to talk to us. If they are, they're closet electronics hobbyists. I guarantee that.
Right.
No one is gonna pull a Dave and be like, "Well, I heard on the amp." They're gonna get on their YouTube channel. I heard on the amp hour, blah 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 blah.
Maybe we should follow one of them around for a day or something like that. See what they really do.
Great. Yeah, don't mind us. We'll just sit over here while you make these confidential decisions. Yeah.
Goodness. Yeah, I don't know. It seems almost insane. When I was dealing with a company, huge, I dealt with a couple of major, huge semiconductor companies, and you do wonder how they come to the decisions. They're so massive. They're so, the company's so massive. They've got so many things happening at once, so many different divisions, so many different, parts of their business. Yeah. How does it all, how do they make decisions on all that sort of stuff? I don't know. Is it hit and miss and just,
We talked about that before with the
beats me.
with Mark Hurd, and I think someone commented about that. How we were bitching about how he got like $40 million, and he makes all the decisions and he gets in trouble. Well, guess what, folks? I just saw an article today about that guy. If you didn't know, Mark Hurd is the HP guy. He's the former HP guy who got in trouble for inappropriate behavior. And this is not trying to turn into TMZ, some like gossip show, but basically, they say, oh, well, he got in trouble and he made these decisions and that's why he should get this huge parachute. It's $40 million. Yeah, that would work if he didn't go directly to his competitor and get hired the next day. So, like electronics is a small industry. Yeah. It doesn't seem like it because it's so global and it's so much money. But it's so small. Mm-hmm. It is. I've only touched on the tip of how connected people are in the industry. Not even like at the top level, but just like the small things. There's just not that many of us relative to the world population. You think what? Maybe 100,000, 500,000 people even.
I don't know. It's hard. Does anyone have? Can anyone point to numbers on that sort of stuff?
I can't. I don't know. But even at 500,000 people, right? So 500,000, there's 6 billion people in the world. That's a very small percentage. It
is.
Yeah. Maybe 500,000 is way too low.
Well.
Anyway.
So our industry's insignificant, huh?
I guess so.
Well, no, we are.
We are.
So, but somehow the industry has a momentum all of its own.
Yeah.
You wanted to talk about, you wanted to do a follow-up on the PhD thing.
Yeah, so we talked about that last time, and I didn't have any numbers about that, but I saw that a couple days ago, there was a article in The Economist, which is usually they have really great articles in that magazine, but they were talking about the actual numbers in percentage of above, getting a high school degree. So if you get a high school degree, you would be considered, 0% above median, right?
Is it called a high school degree?
What do you call it?
Is it actually a degree?
What would you call it?
A high school diploma, okay. Is it right?
I don't know the difference, I guess. So. I didn't graduate high school.
Well, you should. You're an American.
Yeah. Anyway, and then over that, there's a premium. I didn't write the number in there. So I think there's a premium of like 13 to 18% or something like that for a bachelor's degree over that. So like in terms of earnings. And then the next step up would be a master's degree. And that is 23%. Mm-hmm. And so last time we were talking about
over 23% over the high school.
Over the high school, yeah. So that's the base level.
Right. So the high school diploma is our benchmark.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And so then last week we were talking about PhDs and how there's really no economic incentive of it. And this article confirmed that it's 26% compared to the 23% of a master's degree. And not only that, if you spend 7 years working on PhD past when you would get a master's degree, then you would, you lose that in terms of opportunity costs. And if you think, you and I...
So you actually make a loss.
Yeah. I mean, effectively you do. And not to mention,
maybe 30 years down the track you might not, but it'd take you 20 years to recover that financial hit possibly. But I can't believe that, a PhD only earns on average, 26% more than someone with a high school diploma. That's just, seems remarkable, doesn't it?
Averaged over geography and, countries and, life. I don't know if it was lifetime. But but you think about it, like someone who's an electrician, they can make some serious dough because they're in high demand. It's all about supply and demand, which the Economist loves talking about, obviously. But it's just interesting to see those numbers. And I really like one of the ladies in there was talking about, she was a professor that was accepting, because they were talking about not just engineering PhDs, so maybe that's another distinction that needs to be made.
Right, yes. Engineering might be different, yep.
But she mentioned that we need academic birth control. Basically that they're letting too many people in and they're oversupplying everything based on this because it's cheap labor. For I mentioned last time that, it's cheap labor for, people foreign to the U.S. I was corrected about that in the comments last time. But, if you think about just grad students, that is cheap labor. If you have a grad student who's working there 6 years, they're making not that much money.
No, not much, exactly.
And they're working hard, too. I know some PhD people, and they were working hard. So...
More fool them.
I mean, and you think about, like, if you actually did start cutting back on how many people you let into universities for PhDs, that would, raise prices for people that have a PhD. And I don't know if it would hurt research, but it would be good for, it would be more incentive. There'd be more competition for those spots then. So.
Right. That brings me to a saying that I like to repeat often, is that hard work is highly overrated, people. If you have to work hard for a living, you're doing something wrong, I think. Or you're doing it the wrong way.
Maybe.
Really.
Really?
If you're working hard for the man, then I reckon you're doing it wrong. If you're slaving away, doing all the overtime and everything else, and, there's no light at the end of the tunnel, then you're doing it wrong, I reckon.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I think don't get me wrong, hard work is good if you're doing it for your own interest, reasons, things like that. But if you're working hard for the man, I reckon you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I mean...
Yep, absolutely. Because at the other end of the tunnel, when it all comes down to it, they don't care. They're just going to whip you and and toss you away at the end.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and that's kind of the corporate stuff we were talking about too. I mean, like not to get down on corporations, because a lot of it's good, but like at the end of the day, like you said, it's business, right? So.
Exactly. It's always business. And
and that points towards working for yourself.
Hard work's great if you're doing your own business or your own hobby. Right. Fantastic. Right. But, even for your own business, these people who go out there and do consulting gigs and think it's great that they're working for themselves, but they're actually working 80-hour weeks, and they're having no life. Well, I don't know. Is that worth it? Well, maybe to them it is, but to someone like me, it's not. My ultimate goal is to work as little as possible. Is to do the least amount of work for the most amount of foot to make a living.
Dave wants to just
why would that not be a goal?
Sit there and complain about Maxim and everybody else.
Do a 10-minute video once a week. If I can live off a 10-minute video once a week, I'm going to do it. And then he'll be in the canyons. You bet your ass I'm going to do it.
Making videos, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I'll be out bush, or I'll just be designing stuff in my own time, doing whatever I please, and that's the holy grail.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Well, the holy grail is not to work at all, not to have to do anything for money.
I guess so. I think that'd get boring eventually. I don't know.
Well, no, it wouldn't. We'll probably finish off with this. We've only got a couple of minutes left, right? But my wife is probably in this camp, right? If she won lotto, if she won $1 million in lotto, she would actually go back to work, right? Because she enjoys it, and she thinks that she needs something to do. If I won $1 million in lotto, I'd quit my job, and you wouldn't, you wouldn't see me again. Well, you probably would.
See on YouTube.
I'd keep on doing the blog,
we couldn't get rid of you on YouTube.
Exactly. But no, it's just I've got a million things that I can do with my life. I've got endless hobbies out there I can go and work on. I don't need to work for somebody, actually have a paid job to have meaning in my life. That's just crazy. I don't understand people who have the financial benefit and then just go, have the financial freedom and then still go work for someone else. I can understand if you want to go work for a charity or something like that, doing it for the goodness of your heart, but I don't know, going back to work is just working for the man, even if you enjoy it and the people are nice. I don't know. Having to turn up 9 to 5.
That's about purpose, like some people can't find. I mean, not can't find, but like
I know.
If you're working on like DNA sequencing, right, Dave? You might not be doing that in your house.
No, it's exactly. Well, yeah, granted. I mean, everyone's different, but from my perspective, in my little world, if I had the financial freedom, I wouldn't be working. The only reason I turn up 9 to 5 is because I need to pay the bills, really. So, and I've got dozens of hobbies out there. I can, hobbies I haven't even started yet, haven't even thought of yet. I could go out there and do, and
imagine hobbies,
causes I could jump on, and all sorts of things, But everyone's different. But that's how I feel anyway. Is that? Yep. I certainly wouldn't go back to work. Well, that's for sure.
Dave, maybe you should ask for that for Christmas, or holiday,
$1 million.
Whatever.
Oh dear. See, you could go out and blow $1 million, right? There's all these people out there saying, "Oh, you can't live off $1 million." Well, yeah, if you go buy a house and a bloody Ferrari, of course you can't live off $1 million. But
at 5% investment and reinvesting,
even at 5% investment, it's $50,000 a year. I could live off that and just do supplementary stuff on the side, and I can eke out a living on that.
Yeah.
No problem at all. So yeah, I don't know. These people, they win lotto and they go back to work.
We're gonna,
get it.
anyway. I'm gonna show up next week, and Dave is gonna just not be there, and I'm gonna email and he'll be like, "Sorry, I'm in Aruba. It happened. See ya."
Exactly.
Santa came through.
If all of a sudden you see me drop off the grid, then you know what's happened.
Yeah, either that or one of the component companies got to you.
Right.
Yeah.
DigiKey sent out the hitman.
The Digi hitman.
Well, they're a $1 billion corporation now. They've got a lot of clout.
Yeah, they
who
can
knows?
make stuff happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, dear. God, have we gone for an hour already?
I think the amp hour has been amped out.
Unbelievable. What did we miss out on? What are we carrying over the next week?
We got some stuff on here from probably weeks ago. If people don't know, we keep a list, but we skipped.
There's a spreadsheet,
so that's okay. We got the good stuff.
I think we got through 7 items today, did we?
Yeah, 8,
yeah,
7, 8,
8.
Yeah.
7, 8 items. Yeah. There you go, and a whole bunch of waffle.
Yeah, I think mostly waffle. Waffle? Never heard that one.
Waffle? Yeah, it's just random talk.
I would call that
useless,
fluff.
pointless talk. Fluff, fluff is another term. Same thing. Waffle, fluff.
Waffle with fluff.
And that's enough for this week.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
We'll see you next week.
Okay, you're the sink man. Okay.
As in, I smell like a sink.
Right. Oh, dear.